It's being set up right now that a certain voting bloc, and it looks like black men, are going to be blamed if VP Harris doesn't win.
And that has concerned the Democrats, so much so that it became a point of Barack Obama recently when he went out.
And he's over here trying to sell her as a sister. And then that's why we should vote for her, because she's one of us. That's crazy thinking right there.
For some reason, all these smart brothers and sisters missed the point when I said, was she a black? Y'all know what I mean. I mean, we know she's black.
Yeah.
It's the whole, is she down with the community?
Yeah.
Everybody in the barbershop knew what I meant.
Yeah. Like we said, she's not invited to the cookout.
See, now listen, so fast forward to this moment that happened out of nowhere.
If we all stand together, all of us stand together as the minority, as the middle class black man, and we go and we don't vote, and we stand together from state to state to state and we don't vote, what you think is gonna happen? They're gonna have a problem putting anybody in office because the numbers don't match.
That's interesting.
They have to do something different now because we're not standing up to how y'all want us to vote to put this person in office.
Wow. Just voting for him just because he was a black man, I thought I was doing the right thing. I was proud to do it. But the plight of my people is still the same.
But he was the lesser of the two evils at the time, and that's what it falls down.
But that's where I said, like, that's where it's on the people of America. We keep allowing this lesser of two evils.
But see, here's the thing, though. You have to. But here's the thing: choosing the lesser of two evils is still choosing evil.
Trump doesn't have an ounce of understanding on regular people.
I worked for this man for 3 years, and he's not racist. That's for one, Donald Trump. Okay. And he has one of the most diverse companies I ever worked for.
If you don't have to walk with the family after the funeral of the gun violence, and the only thing you have to do is come to the service and read your proclamation and then go back to your office, it makes sense to me that you don't really care about what we really dealing with.
But you see, that's what it falls on. It falls on your tax bracket that make you a Democrat or a Republican. No matter your skin tone, it's your tax bracket.
Undecided voters, you're still up for grabs, technically.
Technically.
Yeah.
Technically, absolutely.
This late a date.
I'm definitely still up for grabs.
Yeah. Hey, free agents. What you got out there, folks? It was so much fun the first time. We got to do it again. This is how it all started, Evan.
This is where it all started, and it got a little, you know what I mean? It caught a little steam, you know.
It did. For good reasons, for the reasons it didn't really matter. We're going to get into that in a second. But the bottom line is we want to get back to this group of black voters. They are the group that everyone's trying to get right now. It's this late in the game.
A hot group to get, a different group, but an interesting group that we had in there. Had a lot of stuff to say.
Right. All right. So, folks, politicians, if you want to know how to get these guys,
how about it?
They're giving you the clues right now.
They telling you what to do.
They still haven't heard what they want to hear.
Right.
What is that? You're about to hear it as we go off the air at Back to Life again. This place looks familiar. We are back. Yes, 30-something thousand views on YouTube, millions of views on other social platforms, some of them accurate in the way they talked about us, many of them were not. But we're going to get back to it again, and we're at Back to Life. This is the barbershop, and this is Ray. Ray became an overnight sensation because of his honesty and his willingness to talk about so many things. So, Ray, I want to talk to you about that first. We're starting with you. Okay. The fallout from this the first time, the comments, the attention you got. What was that like for you?
At first, like I was saying earlier, I took it lightly. I was like, this is funny. Then you see the negativity, the ugliness.
What was that about? Like, what were they criticizing the most?
Pretty much just...
They didn't like your views.
They didn't like my views. They didn't like where I stood on things. The disagreement was uncalled for in the sense of like some of the things we were saying. If you listen to the whole thing that we put together, you would understand that, you know, things were talked about.
It was thoughtful. It was deep. It wasn't just a soundbite. Some people just heard the soundbites, which is the whole problem with our discourse right now. You're a business owner, though. I mean, did this hurt you or help you or impact your business at all?
Impacted the business, not in a bad way or a good way. I'm not gonna. Everybody talked about it. Obviously, they know what happened. They seen that we went viral. Got a lot of feedback from the clients. I did get feedback from some community leaders. They were like, Ray, you know, you gotta be careful and you know how you handle these things. And I told them I know my community. They come in here. We speak freely. amongst each other. So I'm gonna do the same.
You ain't say nothing crazy though, bro.
I ain't say anything crazy. I spoke truthfully.
I think they wanted you to say something a certain way, and when you did not fit what they wanted you to say,
exactly,
it became a thing. You became,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that brings us to Evan.
Yeah.
That was your introduction to the CBS 21 world.
They didn't even know I was working there,
No,
though, man.
no,
They see the black dude there, and they was like, "Yo, it's a black dude sitting next to other black dudes.
He's
a black dude."
Hey, wait, does he work with this guy?
I
do. What's been the fallout for you?
It was interesting. I didn't have any fallout because they didn't think I worked there. You know what I mean?
You said at the very beginning of the piece.
I'm sorry I didn't have a CBS 21 logo on, but I would have gotten heat with you if they known we were partners. And I was stirring the
They
pot.
may have got to it eventually. What's with that guy? He keeps on talking so much. What's going on? That was the point. I had my own fallout, but it was very interesting. Yeah. I mean,
care to elaborate?
well, let's see. What was I said? It was saying that I was pandering to the black community. Some said racist, and it came down to this shirt I've worn many times, but this particular time it was not very well appreciated because I wore this in here. Now here's the backstory no one knew, is the day before this, I had talked to Evan and we had the classic conversation of who's better, Jordan or LeBron, right? We had this discussion. He's a LeBron guy, I'm a Jordan guy. And I knew that in the barbershop that comes up a lot as well. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make myself clear where I stand on this. So I wore this here. And I've worn this on the air before when I covered basketball, whatever. It's just part of my style. It's not a big deal. But people that don't know that, they're saying, oh, look what he's doing. This white guy coming into the black barbershop trying to pander to them. It's the worst thing ever. And if they're not going to look deeper or listen to what we said, but just look at the appearance, they loved making the judgment on that. And of course, you can't argue on social media, so I just had to let it go.
Let it go. It was.
But you know what they say about assumptions.
TikToks and memes and tweets, but you couldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
But,
hey, politically, we got a lot of cool people here as well. We're going to get to in a second. One last thing with you. Politically, did ever anybody come to you and say, hey, how can you not vote? Like, how can you support, how can you not support Kamala Harris? Because nobody in our group said that. They all said they're not going to vote for either, the group we were with back then. Have they come to you politically about any of this stuff?
Several, from community leaders, business owners, my own children. One of my children, actually, my daughter.
I'm sure it was your daughter. I said, I know it was your daughter.
Yeah. My oldest daughter came to me, and it was back and forth.
But it's a good conversation?
Great conversation, healthy. Always healthy. I always tell people we have to listen to each other.
Right.
So I tell my kids that. But other people you can't have that conversation with because they automatically, you're a bad person because you don't agree with them, which is unfair. But going back and forth with people with it is like, at the end of the day, your vote is yours, my vote is mine.
Right.
You shouldn't be trying to influence my vote. Let them do their job as whoever's running do that. That's
True,
it.
but the fallout comes to us sometimes. Let me get everybody involved in this now as well. One of the fallouts from this was we ended up on the Michael Smirkani's program. It was a good discussion. We explained where you guys were coming from on this. The timing of our first session ended up coming right after Donald Trump had questioned, is Kamala Harris black? It's something we had discussed in here already as well. And we had, people have their opinions on that. So the timing worked out. We were on the Smirkani's program. It ended up getting on CNN. That's where it kind of blew up as well. But some of the responses from the callers after the radio segment I did, they said, you know what, these guys sound like low information voters. Now, I would say the people that are listening to satellite radio maybe are people that, have money to pay for radio.
How about that?
They're listening to a political show for hours, so of course they're high information voters. So, but other people are busy. Doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, compared to you, they're lower information voters. But let's accept that we all got a vote that counts the same. So I want to get some response over here. When you hear the term low information voter, what does that sound like to you?
It makes it seem like we're uneducated on anybody that's even running, much less what they have done and what they claim to do and don't follow through with. Kamala Harris has done a lot to hinder black people prior to her being a Democrat. People don't look at. They look at the fact that she's pushing Democrat, but it's just a party for her right now that's opposing the party that she cannot run with, which is the Republicans. Everybody's pushing for Trump. Trump doesn't have an ounce of understanding on regular people. He's on a whole different tier of life. He's been there, and he stays there on purpose. He don't downgrade himself for no one. He stays up there, and he stays up there like a dictator, and then that's the kind of role that he's pushing. So it's more or less what information you're looking to seek versus what's being told to you.
Before we move on, your son was here last time.
Yes.
All right, and
Yes.
you can join us again as well. What was your take on all this, listening to your son and other people talk when you watched it?
I sat back and I was like, I missed out. I should have been there. I should have been there, but he stood his ground. I mean, he didn't have much to say because, like, again, they might classify him as an uneducated voter, but he can only talk about what he knows.
Yeah, but what bothered me though, Fred, is like that low information. At the end of the day, you don't get 2 votes for going to Harvard.
No, you don't.
At the end of the day, when you go to the polling station, your vote counts as 1.
Yes.
So instead of telling someone they're a low information voter, I was bothered that at the end of the day, you need to be worried about why are they thinking that way?
Right.
Why are they feeling that way about someone that's like-minded or they or kind of looks like them? That's what kind of bothered me. Instead of jumping down and saying someone's low information, like why do they feel that way? And I think that kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Okay. You're a reverend in the community. I just want people to know the basics on that.
Sure.
Hey, if you guys, this is a working place. If you need to walk through.
Oh, y'all good, yeah. Keep it
walk
moving.
on through. We're not here, okay? If you got something to say, raise your hand. Come on over. Your perspective overall on the climate we're in right now and the low information voters and how much people are really in tune on the election that you deal with at your church or maybe the young black folks that you deal with.
Sure, and my church is multicultural, and that's something that really I think surprises a lot of people because we're right in the middle of a predominantly black neighborhood, but it's people from all over the world who attend the church. And so as a leader in the community and as a thought leader and somebody who's supposed to be responsible for people to get good information from, I see the low, when you say low informed,
Low information
low
voter.
information.
That's the term they use when they don't like what they hear, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the low information for me is we're not leveraging our vote. We're just exercising the vote. So our vote is supposed to be leveraged to create a society all of us want to live in. And so when we go to the polls, it shouldn't be just who's getting in office. We should care less who's getting in office. We should look at them as, y'all work for us. And as a people, we want something.
They do.
And so when we go to vote, it's because we envision a world we want to live in, and we're expecting you all to do the business and handle the business infrastructure that undergirds that. I don't think that's how a lot of people look at politics, and that's why, if the only thing I get to do is go in there and vote, it don't mean much because it's not going to affect my life. But I think when people start, I think as a community leader, as a church leader, our job is to help people to see what does our collective future look like together, and then leverage our vote to obtain that future we all want to live in.
Get it.
Thoughts on this, what you've heard so far?
There's truth in a lot of things, so if someone claims low information, we have to understand that a lot of this is by design. A lot of this is deliberate. A lot of the messaging just does not get to voters, different voters. I mean, there's so many things with disenfranchisement of voters in different voting blocks. And so a lot of times people will quip and say low information, but are you helping to inform? And if a person has or a group has low information, what resources are available? Because a television ad, a flyer in the mail, that's not good enough.
Why do you feel you're only low information when you're not going where somebody wants you to go? You see what I'm trying to say? Because the people that were calling in, the people that were saying low information, it's when it's not particularly what your thought process is. You know what I mean? But if it's the angle that you want, now I'm informed. Now I know everything.
Well,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I feel like it is sometimes. Then you're low information. I go, why are you low information now?
But I mean, I think we got to look at it. It's a little deeper than that, like the manipulation of our algorithms, right? Like you look on social media and you look at what pops up for you, right? What pops up for you, that it makes you think like whatever you are prone to go look at. But no, Like, if you're not in politics, politics will invade your social media account and look at who you are, who your friends are, to give you certain messaging. And I just think as a people, we're never going to get over this until we start thinking collaboratively about how we want the world to look. And stop allowing other people to tell us, get on camera and you tell us what your agenda is. You represent us. We're supposed to tell you.
That's something I wanted to get to.
That's fair.
And you sort of got the start of this concept. Do you expect, this goes for everybody, the government to solve your problems? Is it collaborative? They have a piece involved? Should they really be doing it? Or is it like, no, we're on our own out here?
Right now, it feels like we're on our own.
Definitely
out here.
on our own.
It definitely feels like we're on our own right now. It should be a collaborative. I don't think they should be a major part of our everyday, but they should have a part in us being a functioning country.
Or even offer good results on certain things that plague us even more than the average people. Like homelessness, like feeding the homeless even to start with. Make more ways for that to happen instead of bailing out other countries with all other stuff going on in their world and just leaving us neglectful in our world.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, if we put more focus, it'll probably make a difference and help change a person's way of thinking.
Priorities.
The way I look at it now is it's similar to like a relationship. When you go into a relationship with a new family, like you had your family, you walk up, you go to a new family, and the kids from the old family get neglected. So that's what kind of happened. Like now, all this money, all this funding, all this attention is being given to other countries and things outside of our needs as a country, and we're all suffering from it. I see it from the top to the bottom because I work in the community. And everybody's taking the hit right now.
Yo, Ray, do you is there a percentage of you, or what point do you feel that there's a responsibility for us as a people to take responsibility for the things we do and how things affect us? You know what I'm talking about?
100%.
The violence, the
100%. It's on us. I tell people, like, what's going on in this country, why are we in the situation we are in right now with these two politicians, the only two politicians we get to vote for, is because of us. We allow this to happen. We the people.
Yes.
People forget.
Yes.
The first line is the first line.
They work for us. If we came together and stopped fighting, stop bullshit, sorry.
You good.
You know, like, if going back and forth and start listening to each other and actually, like he said, come together and find out what we need and push for that as a community together, we can get things changing. But we're so busy with all this nonsense that we forgot that we in charge. They work for us. You know, we do our part every day in waking up, paying our taxes, taking care of our stuff, our everyday needs and things like that, while they just taking, and we're allowing it. We're allowing this to happen. If you come in there and like, oh, I'm just focused on the black community, we fail.
Well,
I'm just focused on the white community, we fail.
Right, so
let's focus on all of us together.
As a people.
As a people.
As a
as
human.
a people, you guys are grouped together sometimes. And right now, the current stats are more than ever. It's definitely not a majority. More people now are saying they're going to vote Republican, or specifically Trump, if they are African American voters. Okay, the numbers are there, and that has concerned the Democrats so much so that it became a point of Barack Obama recently when he went out. Evan, do you have that nearby? He's going to pull that up, and we're going to listen to it. But we talked about this last time. Let's get into it again. Do you think about the black community is Democrat, and are you treated that way by the politicians? You guys didn't get to talk on that last time. What do you think about the tradition and maybe the assumption of black voter, Democrat?
I mean, it is assumed, and to me, I'm offended by it. I'm highly offended by that.
Why?
Because, you know, George Washington said that the demise of our democracy would be this two-party system. So we're not even being true to what a democracy is supposed to be by opting into one of these two parties. And so first of all, the fact that you assume I don't know that. Secondly, I just look at the history. And I think, and I said this to you earlier, neither party is checking for black people, you know, either way. It's not like either one of them or want specifically black people to do better in America. And so for me, I'm not concerned with just black people, but black people have faced something in this country that no other people group has faced. And I think that we should require our legislative leaders, our governmental leaders, our politicians, we should require them to at least see to it that the injustices that have been done to our community are somehow made right. Right? And so I think so I don't believe either party is specifically beholden to that. And so I'm not beholden to them.
Yeah. Well, Kamala Harris did have a plan out. It was for believe it was new minority-owned businesses to get some tax breaks to get things moving.
But you see, that's what it falls on. It falls on your tax bracket that make you a Democrat or a Republican. No matter your skin tone, it's your tax bracket. Because at the end of the day, they want all the big perks that the rich people are getting. It doesn't matter what color your skin is.
Trust me,
you're looking for perks and whatever discounts you can get on your taxes, I would say, because there's people that know damn well that know for sure that you need to stick with your people. You need to unify your people a little bit better. So you breaking off and, hey, I'm a Democrat. No, I'm a Republican now because I'm making a little bit more money. You're just looking for that extra change in your pocket when at the end of the day, you're selling us out for more money versus uplifting what you can help on the other end.
I mean, my thing is there's an assumption that I want to be in the middle class, right? And I don't believe in classism, right? So
classism is a very real thing.
Exactly.
So it's a very real
So the
thing.
moment you say we're protecting the middle class, to me that sounds like you're protecting the rich and you're protecting that there's going to be a poor class. And so you're saying, well, why don't you strive to be the middle? I don't want that. So for me, what I would like to hear from Republicans and Democrats is let's level the playing field that everyone has a fair shot at being who they want to be.
Right.
It's tough though.
That sounds good, but
but it's tough to eliminate the middle class because there's systems
I'm
around
not saying
the world.
eliminate it,
but I'm just saying if you want.
But you can't campaign on that thinking that I'm gonna buy into wanting to be a part of that.
But you'll start turning into a rich and then a poor, and then when there's no, that's crazy.
That's when the tax bracket.
That's a different ball game. You have to. The middle class is typically the majority.
But here's the thing: the people who are saying we're trying to protect the middle class are not in it.
That's right too.
So
a lot of brothers and sisters that are they are though. There's still people there fighting the good fight.
I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about elected officials.
But you see, that's their power vote.
But
that's where their majority vote is coming from. So that's why they're pushing that whole agenda about middle class. Because if they get the middle class, regardless of how many rich people vote and how many poor people vote, which the poor people are already telling you they're not voting, your count is that middle class. So if that middle class don't count for you, you got nothing.
But here's my thing: is if you don't have to walk with the family after the funeral of the gun violence, and the only thing you have to do is come to the service and read your proclamation and then go back to your office, it makes sense to me that you don't really care about what we really dealing with.
But
for somebody like me who has to walk with the family 6 months after their oldest child was gunned down,
and you see it,
then I see it different.
But that's right. But they don't get that.
Earlier, when he spoke about the responsibility, our responsibilities towards things, that's on us too.
Yes. I agree. That's why you're here, my brother. That's what makes you.
We can't just look at politicians and police officers as the answers to our community issues. That's our issues too. We have to fix these issues too. It's like I said, I grew up in Brooklyn in the hood. And it was like, no snitching, don't tell, don't this, don't that. Meanwhile, you seen Pookie shoot this little girl,
and you ain't saying nothing. That's real, man.
That's us not taking care of our community.
That's on us. That's not on politics. That's not on politicians. That's not on rich people. That's us, and we don't like taking accountability for being responsible for stuff that we do.
We do.
You got
I always say that we have to be responsible for our communities. We have to be responsible for our children, our schools. Everything. We can't rely solely on the President of the United States and these politicians who really don't care about us
until November 5th.
Until November 5th to fix our issues.
But let me ask you this though. How much do you have to give to the government every year in the name of taxes?
That's America. That's a
must.
No, here's what I'm saying.
Must to everybody.
No, here's what I'm saying. What percentage of your income? Right?
Close to 50%.
Right? So here's what I'm saying. It's not that I expect y'all to do something and you resolve me of my responsibility to uplift my community. More so, I'm saying, what you doing with my 30 to 50% of my income?
Living life.
Did you take before I work and then you take it I'm concerned about how you're using that.
But that's where I said that's on us, where we are not coming together and forcing these issues.
Yes.
We just allow them to run around all
You
over
give it
us.
to them.
Step on it. It's
You
like
give
the
it to
movie
them, they
Ants
use
and
it for
Bugs
what
Life.
they want.
We outnumber them.
But everybody pays taxes. Rich,
Right.
poor,
And
middle
they're-
class.
But they're talking about it.
Yeah,
Both
yeah.
have tax plans. This is how much this
Yes.
class will pay. This is how much this class will pay. You may believe them or not. Of course, they also have to get it through Congress and
Yes.
say this is what you're paying.
Yes.
So they are talking about that. But I want to get back to this issue of violence. You're seeing it, and I appreciate your perspective, and you bring up a good point.
It does.
It's easy to get there and say I care and then leave and not see the result. You're there. If it was an easy answer, it would have been done by now. But what do you see as something that maybe politicians can do, certainly the community, but when it comes to politics of the violence that's going on, let's say Harrisburg, because that's where you are. I've been in journalism for a long time. I've seen all these ideas and things don't change. What do you see out there that needs to be done or could be done from a politician's standpoint, thus voting for this option?
So in Harrisburg right now, 3% of black children in Harrisburg now are at grade level in math, and less than 13% are at grade level in reading. Right?
Whatever that grade level
Whatever
is,
that
they're not there.
That's measured by mainly 8th graders, right? If your child came home with a 3% on the test or a 13% on the test, you would not only say something to your child, you would go to the school, you would have questions about everything. I think it starts with education, because kids who are educated, who are exposed, who have experiences beyond just their neighborhood,
I agree.
and can see more and are being educated and have a vision for what they want their life to be like, gives them a chance to not buy into some of the street stuff that goes on.
That's fair.
If they're involved in extracurricular programming, if they're involved in sports, if they're involved in music, if they're involved in entrepreneurship, if they're involved in mentoring program, if they have a solid education, I think that's the only way you curve some of these, street activities that kids get into. Most of the kids just want some money and want some respect.
But I agree with you to a degree. Like, I grew up as poor as anybody could, in this country, and that's a big part of it. I always say, like, one thing we always lacked was resources. That's what you're talking about, resources.
Absolutely.
They kept taking resources from us. I watched it growing up. We had PAL when I was young.
Yeah.
You had music, art, everything. You know what I'm saying? We had all of that. But we still had those problems in Brooklyn, in the hood, even though we had those resources.
Yeah.
And what I realized, because I work with a lot of middle school kids now, is that it's a mentality. We have to change our mentality.
Yes.
Like, we have this broken mentality. Me and a friend of mine, her name is Janessa Rose, she wrote a book, it's called Bums, Broken Urban Mentality. Like, it's true. We have this broken mentality that, I was telling my girlfriend, my first pair of J's I ever had, I was 45 years old. You know why? Because I watched everybody else in the hood growing up on food stamps, in the projects, everything. They
With a
had
pair of
J's,
Jordans.
Mercedes Benz, all this stuff.
Facts.
That's how you show what you earned. That's what this is what we're teaching our children. This is what we're teaching our community, that this is how you win. You buy J's, you buy a Audi, you buy a Mercedes. Wow. That's not how you win. You got to change the mentality. I won because I changed my mentality.
Yep.
As a kid, I never asked nobody for no J's. I drive a Ford Escape and I own the shop. My barbers have better cars than me.
That's real talk, bro.
And when people come to me and they talk to me about it, I'm like, it's my shop.
I
I changed the mentality. So now when I do the mentorship program, I'm teaching these kids the same thing. You have to change your mentality, the way you look at
But a
things.
broken mentality doesn't come from just anywhere.
I know
Like
where
a
it comes
broken
from.
but a broken mentality is caused.
Yes.
It
but
does.
we
It's
can't
not like,
play
but
victim.
no. But it's not about being victim. But we
Yeah.
are victimized.
Yeah.
See, the
But-
problem is any one of us, even if you read President Barack Obama's memoir, and he talks about the discrimination he faced, and he was raised in a white family.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what happens in America and globally. Is you could be a black man, drive and be pulled over.
Yep.
There's studies that show it. In fact, there was a fact that came about that I came across recently that said that the achievement gap could be solved if a child, regardless of their socioeconomic status, had both parents and faith. What's happened in the black community, we've stepped away from God. That's number one. So there's no moral conviction, because a lot of the problems that plague the black community have been happening in the black community's history in America. Even century ago, black families were together, but the black community, you didn't have all of this stuff. Right now, there's a lack of job programs, workforce development.
Yeah, resources. Yeah.
Also, Reverend Robertson talked about education. There needs to be communities, and it needs to say, like, this is education. If kids are going to the same schools that are failing year after year, and we know these are bad high schools, sending a student there, we're not expecting much. And so it becomes a cycle, and the government does see it, and the government can clean it. But yes, it is our responsibility as well. But I think that there's more than just like the broken mentality, because that broken mentality, that lack of achievement, is caused by something. And I said recently to someone, I said, you know, the reason why President Barack Obama was so important was because visually, just to see that, like just to see, like if you're a black kid, you could see the NBA because you see professional, but to see, even if like the whole just mindset is different. If you're a white kid, I would assume that looking at the money, I mean, even talking about the church, looking at the, again, inaccurate but portrayals of a white Jesus, looking at what you can attain, that confidence, that privilege, that's something that's degraded, that degrades us, and it happens consistently. And right now, I think black men are getting more involved and more informed.
Let's keep this on politics for a second. We could do a whole thing on the black community and some ways to find solutions. But let's bring that up right now. You mentioned Barack Obama and black men, and where are we right now? So he said, I believe you heard this, not voting for me not voting for her the same way you're voting for me, and he questioned if it was because she's a woman, and he said, we got to do better. That cannot be why you're doing this. So let's get some reaction to that out here.
It's just like when Biden came out and said, you're not black if you don't vote for me.
That's crazy.
Same thing.
That was very offensive.
Very offensive.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Now you're saying that we're not, you know, like black men don't want to vote for her because she's a woman now? Or is that the reason? Like, the other day he said something to the fact of, why would you vote for an old crazy man that, you know, can't function, da-da-da. Meanwhile, you supported Biden for 3.5 years. I don't even want to listen to you at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this. I voted for Barack Obama for one reason. He was a black man running for the office. And I look at that now and I'd be like, that was a mistake. Just voting for him just because he was a black man. Mm-hmm. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was proud to do it. But the plight of my people is still the same.
But he was the lesser of the two evils at the time, and that's what it falls down.
But that's where I say, like, that's where it's on the people of America. We keep allowing this lesser of two evils.
But see, here's the thing, though. You have to. But here's the thing. Choosing the lesser of two evils is still choosing evil.
Yes.
But it's still the lesser of that, though.
Yeah.
But
it's the same
it's
thing.
still evil.
But it's still an evil.
So you got to take 100% evil or 50% evil. What would you pick?
What you said earlier about George Washington.
Exactly.
The demise of our country is happening.
Exactly.
We watching it fall apart in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And he's over here trying to sell her as a sister. And that's why we should vote for her, because she's one of us. That's crazy thinking right there. To just vote for somebody for the skin color?
See, but this what goes back to what I was saying originally when this whole thing blew up the way it did. For some reason, all these smart brothers and sisters missed the point when I said, was she a black? Y'all know what I mean. I mean, we know she's black.
Yeah.
It's the whole, is she down with the community?
Yeah.
Everybody in the barbershop knew what I meant.
Yeah. Like we said, she's not invited to the cookout.
See, now listen, so fast forward to this moment that happened out of nowhere when the great, listen, let's check it out. See? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? You see, this is what's interesting. The great Barack Obama came in and some people looked at it as if he was scolding the brothers and chastising the brothers. It looked like it just Barack doing his thing.
And some people took it
the
other way.
It wasn't an intelligent conversation to inform voters.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was an interesting, the forum was interesting.
And it also wasn't hospitable if you're like, literally that's captured on a cell phone video.
Right.
And that's his statement, like, to black men. that's not even a good statement. In fact, there's been multiple calls for Vice President Harris, black men for Harris. So, that's taken as the media took it that way, and people ran with it. But at the end of the day, we cannot get even if somebody knows the culture, knows it doesn't matter. What are they going to do? And to be honest, unfortunately, with President Trump, he hasn't done a very good job in winning over the black community overall.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that is?
But here's the thing. What's the setup is going to be is that if a certain candidate doesn't win, it's being set up right now that a certain voting bloc, and it looks like black men, are going to be blamed if VP Harris doesn't win. The reason why Trump hasn't done that, I think, is because, again, he doesn't care. And again, it gets to what the life of elected officials.
He doesn't care about what?
Black men.
I can.
Can I say something
about that black vote though?
But here's the thing. Can I say something? Hold on.
But we're betraying our own legacy. We're betraying, as black people who have rights in this country. Yeah. We're betraying our own legacy by walking into those rooms and asking, "What are you going to do for us?" Yeah. That's not how we got the right to vote. Correct. We got the right to vote. We got what rights we have because we walked in those rooms and said, "This is what we want," and we were a united people who said, "This is what we want, and this is what we're expecting to happen."
There was a lot of people.
So I don't like the so the fact that we keep saying, "What are you going to do for us?" That's where we going wrong.
Yeah. I don't do that personally. I'm just saying that when it comes to like Trump, he cares about the black vote. Trust me.
They both do. My point, not only to the black vote. This is funny to me because you can look this up. This is all homework. I worked for this man for 3 years, and he's not racist. That's for one. Donald Trump.
Okay.
And he has one of the most diverse companies I ever worked for. One of the most diverse companies. Not only that, look at the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. This man is hugging on all these black people that
every last
right now.
Did we forget he was a 30-year Democrat?
Let me tell you something.
Did we forget that?
You know,
did we forget that?
And
he financed.
We forget he was a 30-year.
He helped finance black people's businesses, rap careers. He helped black people.
What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this with President Trump. President Trump is probably one of the most influential people
in the world
ever.
Yeah.
Just if he said, "Hey, be kind to be kind to black people, be kind to this." Just his words alone can make a difference.
Oh, but look at
things are so contentious right now.
That's not right.
Things are so influential, but why can't it? Because here's the thing.
I said it can't. I said it won't.
It won't.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You know why?
There was a slave, just to use as an example, who probably couldn't even imagine this happening. In fact, when I talk about God, when I talk about Jesus, when I evangelize, one of the things I say to people who may be atheists is, you know about God's existence? Your cell phone. That means that all the materials ever on earth to make the technology we have always been here. It didn't come from outer space. It just took, like you said, human collaboration and human ingenuity to reach that point.
Yeah. But one person can't change everybody's mind.
Let me tell you something. You know why Trump
got
got votes?
Just like other
you know
people
why
have
Trump got
influence.
his votes? And I'm going to keep it a bean. Trump got his votes because out of everybody, he's a politician, but he runs his mouth. Wait, he runs his mouth so much. He tells you what he's doing. He don't bullshit you with that. He tells you what he's doing, and he sticks to that rhetoric because
whether right or wrong, he does.
He's gonna stick to it. That's his ground. That's where he flourishes at. And everybody voted for him on the fact of that. But it wasn't even the fact of, oh, he's going to make it into a business. The U.S. is going to be a better business place.
The United States is a business. That's what most people in this country do not understand.
But what you would
we
rather?
have a businessman running the country
What
would
you rather? A politician that you
rather a
got
businessman run this
or
country.
a businessman is telling you, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm telling you to your face this is what I'm going to do, and he follows through with it.
At this point, because what he said earlier, election after election after election after election, no results. For our community, for anything.
Right.
This country is literally falling apart. and we keep electing what? Politicians.
That's it.
We have a
it's
business.
allegiance to the Democratic Party that has been taken for granted, and to be honest, being black and being a black voter and just saying I'm a Democrat, that weakens. That makes us the perception be okay. They're black. They're less informed.
They're just going to vote for us anyway.
Yeah, and I feel like right now that's an assumption that needs to stop because
that's worked for a while too.
That's worked for a while, but the common adage is black people aren't a monolith. So if that's the case, then there are going to be black people who are Republican, black people who are Democrat, black people who are third party, independent people who are independent, and it's not respected the same. And I just think that, just going back to the clip, it was very disrespectful to have that, but Obama talked about, he was very impassioned, he used a lot of anecdotes, but at the same time, how can right now lives of black men change? How can they change so that they are supporting their families? They don't have to go to a life of crime. If they do have a criminal background, what are they doing to make things better? And that comes with policies.
So, will things get better, like you were just saying, for those things that you said need to change in the black community? Will it matter depending on who wins this election?
I don't think so. I mean, I think this. Like, whoever gets in office, you know, I think we make more of an impact in our existential lives by voting locally more than national.
That's very true.
Yes.
So that's
local
one piece.
Elections.
Yeah.
But then the second piece, I think we're in the most intelligent thing to do, I think, is live in the tension. And the tension is this: we should be glad that we do live in a country now that has the bandwidth to even have a black woman running for office. Exactly. I think that shows signs of progress. Yeah. But at the same time, we should be beholden to our own collective future together, and not allow just the identity politics to make us make a decision.
I couldn't agree more with you, but this is probably the most important election of your lifetime.
Yeah.
It probably is. So
I believe
so locally this, locally that. At the end of the day, we got to try to vote one of these people in. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
but you
But why is this so much important than any other election?
This is probably the most important election of your lifetime.
Why? On what basis?
There's a lot going on.
On what basis?
What do you mean? You got a woman to come.
So this is I agree with you.
You not agree with me.
I agree with you 100%.
And you're older than me.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying,
I'm 45.
what's the evidence?
I'm 45, right? I served this country. I've been all over the world. I'm a big history guy. And thank you, no problem. And I've watched the digression of this country since 2001. And it's not gotten better any year. No Obama, no Bush, no Trump, no nobody. We are digressing. We are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So, and we're at a point right now where we don't even have options. We don't even have a choice.
So
They are giving us a choice.
So how can this election be so important?
So that's why it's important.
It is. That's why it's important, because we're at a tipping point.
We're at a tipping point where we don't have no more. We don't even have a choice no more. So what we're talking about right now, we should be doing. I work on the ground. You know how many black and brown men I have asked to help me in the community, to help me with these children?
How many, Ray?
Tons. None. Nobody volunteers to help me.
None.
I throw a back to school event every year here.
Where's the people? Ain't nobody helping you.
But Ray, here's the question I have. You said you think this is the most important election.
Yes, it is.
But that assumes that it matters who wins.
If we keep going in the direction we're going in with the party that's in the White House right now, we are doomed. We are doomed. Because if we keep going in that direction, we're going to be paying more for food, more for gas, more for housing, more for taxes, more for everything.
Okay, so you're
on
clear.
top of
So you're clear
wars that they're trying to start.
Okay, so
right
you're
now.
clear on that side. Does anyone over here think that if Trump wins, the country is in peril, the democracy is at stake, and we will be in a terrible way if Trump wins? Because that is what is being said in the ads, and
I think
Joe
what
Biden's been
happens-
saying that for a long time. So you say on the other side, our country would be a mess. What about
Trump allowed way too much to take place during his term that he should have stepped up and spoke about concerning the minorities and underclassmen when it comes to his level of equity or life holding of money. He could have stepped up and said a lot. I even think in the fact of if we all stand together, all of us stand together as the minority, as the middle class black man, and we go and we don't vote, and we stand together from state to state to state, and we don't vote, what you think is going to happen? They're gonna have a problem putting anybody in office because the numbers don't match.
That's interesting.
They have to do something different now because we're not standing up to how y'all want us to vote to put this person in office. Wow. We need to stand together like that. But right now, the way that America is situated, we're not gonna do that.
So not voting is a statement.
It's more
not,
of a statement.
It's not apathy.
It's more of a statement than talking bad in an ad and telling them the worst thing they ever did. What are you doing? You're just bringing up old stuff. Deal with what's at hand.
Right now,
if we stand together,
Trump is a fascist.
For me,
and if he gets in office, the country would be a dictatorship.
It would be
You're not
rough.
buying that.
It would be rough. But I don't think it'll be like that.
The reason I say this is
you
because
feel. Yeah.
when he first came into office, it was a major shakeup in this country.
Yes.
Nobody knew what to do.
Yes.
Everybody's like,
Yes, but he told you everything he was doing.
Exactly,
He really
right?
did, though.
So, where we at in this country, like he said, the tipping point, maybe we need a shakedown. Maybe we need a shakeup.
To see what the hell we missing.
Is this a double shakedown?
Not everybody was waking up.
Nope.
Nobody woke up.
Because now it's different.
Nobody's
now.
paying
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. Over here.
Because, let me make one point real quick. To the point of us, right? When Biden was running for office, he said a few things. They did a few messed up and offensive things to us while they were running. When he was coming into office, he said, when I become president, I will make a law to protect the black people and brown people of America.
Yes.
A month later, he wrote a law for Asians to protect Asian people.
Yes.
Where's our law at?
Never made it.
He never made it. So that's why I said, like, we need shake-up in this country. We need to shake some shit up in here. Like, we can't have him or her in office. We shouldn't even have either one of them in office.
Both of them.
But we keep allowing this.
Well, let's get back to the answer of, are we buying this, the idea that he is a fascist, he wants to be a dictator, and the country and the country would turn into something like that. Even though we have protocols in place, we have 3 branches of government, but would that happen? Are you concerned that would happen?
I don't buy that.
Okay.
I don't buy, the demise or any of that. My faith is in God, and I believe that when God, chooses for this country to fall just like any other great empire, it'll fall just like any other great empire. That's not my job to calculate when that will happen. What I think is, instead of putting all of our eggs in the basket of who gets in the White House, what you just said, like, what kind of united effort do we have among ourselves?
None.
And here's what I'm saying. Not only what united effort do we have among ourselves, but why do we keep allowing our government to take how much of your income you say a year in
Almost
taxes?
50%.
How do we allow that?
48%. It's our fault.
Now watch this. You said when you was growing up, there were all type of programs for youth in your community.
They took
and
all
they
of them
came
away.
and they went.
Yep.
And they came
Every
and they
last
went.
one of them.
And
I'm
guess-
47,
and
so
guess what those programs are usually funded by? Our taxpayer dollars.
Taxpayer dollars.
So what happens? Somebody who we vote for
took that money.
And did what they wanted.
And the funding for those type of programs, they go
You
away.
said vote local. Those local school boards also are deciding where to put their
Exactly.
money.
And what I'm saying is, all of us in here will tell you quick, I don't play about my food and I don't play about my money. But we play about our money when we're not involved locally in voting, because we let the government take our money, and then we don't hold them accountable for wanting the programs we need in our community. We should not have to pay for after school programs. We should not have to pay for private schools. We should not have to pay for that type of stuff when we're giving the government. How much percentage did you say you pay in a year?
Close to 50.
So now you're gonna take, if you paying that, how many kids you got?
I got 7.
You got 7 kids. So you give the government 50% of your income, and then still have to pay out tuition for school, still have to pay out tuition for summer programs.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I just paid 2.
But we
That's
do it.
craziness.
But we do it.
But we don't. But this is what I'm saying.
Y'all
But this is what I'm saying.
right now.
We should look at the voting when we go into the poll. We should look at this is accountability.
Not only
You
that,
did what you said you was gonna do, so you get my vote.
I don't
But
You
then
didn't do
what
you
happens
said
when
you
they
was gonna do,
don't?
So you
I
don't
don't
get
think
my
it's
vote.
only
Who
about voting, to
polices
be
them
honest
when
with
they
you.
don't?
But no, what I'm saying is, instead of looking at it like what y'all gonna do when
Leveraging.
y'all get into office, is leveraging our vote for
Yeah.
what we want.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
Is
this
anyone
what I-
talking like that besides this room?
Yeah, like you and I. Us, you work in the community. You work in the community. You work in the community. I work in the community. Why don't we all working together to fix these problems. When I ask another black or brown man, hey, let's fix this.
You guys agree on a lot of stuff.
Because some people need to swallow their pride and not let ego clash and when trying to help one another.
We can't keep blaming
I don't think it's not that we don't want to do it. I just think that so for instance, like when you talk about how deliberate it is for people to think the way they do, you know, we're inundated with it. The movies, the music, and the media pump our heads with so much, you know,
we
stuff
can't even raise our children the right way because of so much influence.
But that's what I'm saying. So it would have to be a deliberate effort between us.
But way before the media, though, man, it starts at the crib, man. It's
Yes.
way before the media, man.
Yes.
We ain't taking responsibility for
Yes.
how we raise the young bucks, man. We ain't, though. Like, the media is the media. The
Education
media is
always started at home.
Man, I watch parents allow their kids
you making my point. That's
on devices
at the crib.
Like
You said parents are letting them do that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I mean. You
Got
gotta
a couple
stop letting
topics
them do
left.
that.
We're going to run out of time here because you guys are amazing. We could go all day. But let's just get to this last couple things. One of the things that some politicians are talking about, especially on the Democratic side, is that voting rights are a problem. What does that sound like to you? When you hear voting rights, what is the problem that comes to mind for you that needs to be fixed, if at all?
access.
Yeah, accessibility.
What does that mean?
Accessibility.
So some people are just in a point of life where it's just tough, right?
To register or to vote?
To register,
Okay.
right?
And show up.
And to show up. People can't get to their polling station.
Yeah.
So I think that there's access, but at the same time, you know, you should handle your citizenship in a responsible way, right? Like you can't fly without an ID, right? So I don't care how well intentioned you are, you can't get on a flight without an ID. So I don't think that it is crazy to think that there are requirements in order to vote, but I think making sure that the least of these have access is important too.
Do you believe if someone came to you, hey, Reverend, you know, I want to be registered to vote, is that a hard thing to do or not? Like, I mean, you can do it online.
It's not hard. It's not hard for somebody like myself, but for instance, somebody who is not somebody who's not reading, who doesn't read very well, or somebody who's differently able, right, and don't have some of
They would need some help.
Yes, they need help.
Picture. Is anyone being prevented from voting who wants to?
We wouldn't know.
Not here.
Not here.
We wouldn't
You know,
know, to
but
be
Are there
honest.
scenarios you can think of?
From the information there are people that not prevented but manipulated.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that's a
people
different
who,
topic.
I mean, let's think of, you know, our brothers who are incarcerated, you know, and sisters who are incarcerated. I think there are people who are American citizens who want to vote, and, you know, there's difficulties there in getting them access to vote.
That's very specific. Felons still cannot vote.
Yeah, they're disqualified automatic.
Yeah,
automatically.
Yeah, but you're talking about not felons, but they just happen to be in prison right now.
In prison,
And to what he said earlier, like the citizenship situation right now.
and even that needs to change. Sorry for over talking you.
trying to
If you're
allow-
a felon, if you're a felon and that shouldn't matter.
You think so?
You can talk to somebody and
you
be
should
able
still
to
be
vote.
able to vote because what it shows is that you served your time, you paid your debt to society.
You mean out of prison?
Out of prison?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you.
I hear you.
Once you're out of prison, you should have.
Yeah, I
to
think
vote,
that's
right?
one
Yeah,
of the things that should
I
be
agree.
reinstated.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Personally.
Yeah, because for me, like what he was saying earlier, like right now they're trying to allow non-citizens to vote. You know, and it's like you just allow 12, 13,
It's very
14
rare,
people
but there's some
to
smaller
areas
municipalities that are getting into that.
Yeah, and it's like why?
Now that's something that doesn't make much sense.
It makes no sense.
That
But
makes
I know
no
why
sense,
it makes
actually.
sense because if you are the party that allowed them in, they're like, oh, I'm going to vote for them, so we just stay here.
That's the logic. Yeah, it makes
That's
sense to
the
them.
logic.
But
You know what I'm saying?
you got to be a functioning member of society to vote, man.
You have to be.
We have to be a legal resident.
legal resident.
That
pay
too.
your taxes.
Yep.
That's how I feel.
That too.
You know.
There's qualifications.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to the moment of truth here. Maybe you already did vote because you can vote by mail nowadays. When we're recording this, we're less than 2 weeks away from Election Day. I asked you last time who you're voting for, and you said RFK Jr.
And he's supporting Trump, so I support Trump.
Okay. Let's go around the room here. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but I'm asking you. Do you know who you're going to vote for today?
To be honest, I'm probably going to end up voting for Kamala. Not because of her views and stuff, but mainly because I'm looking at, I didn't like how Trump handled himself the first time around.
Okay.
And I refuse to have a second go at it. I don't think he's going to do any better this time around. I actually think he's going to do worse. I think a whole lot of stuff is going to go worse because he's had his foot in that pond and he knows how good it feels in there and he knows the loopholes now more than he knows before. So I feel he's going to abuse it differently now.
Got it. Reverend, you may not want to say that because you're for the congregation. You don't have to answer that
I don't mind.
Okay.
Nice.
No, I mean, like, I don't mind sharing. I'm waiting for the candidates to earn my vote. And so to date, they haven't.
Right.
And so if I had to vote today, it might well be Cornel West. If it was today. But
Right.
I know he doesn't have a legitimate chance.
Sure.
So,
But you said it, I feel the same way. You got to earn my vote.
you got to earn
You
my
don't
vote.
just get it as the
Exactly.
lesser of two evils. I'll leave it up to everybody else who's going to vote.
Exactly.
I'll accept the
And
result.
I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I think it's strange, given the nation's report card as far as education, that our lawmakers, those who are running for the highest office in the country, are not talking about education. When you have 91% of black 8th graders at grade level, not at grade level in math, and 84% of black Americans not at grade level in reading.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not a national conversation.
The other day, Trump did have a conversation about education, and he spoke on the same
I want to
thing
see
he
it on the
spoke
platforms that it's supposed to be on.
Yeah, it was on national TV, and he spoke about it. And he was talking about why he wants the states to take over the schools
Run
again
through if you need to.
because of the education situation.
So
The education
I am waiting to hear
situation
about. Yeah, that's what I want.
But I agree with you with the earn. The reason he earned my vote was because when I became a business owner, I flourished. It was the same time he was in president. I was a veteran. The first time and the whole time I was a soldier or a veteran, I was taken care of. On top of the taxes and what my children, my children went to school. I had 2 kids that were going to college. It benefited me when he was in president. So I agree with you. You
And
have
to be
to earn
clear,
my
you're
vote.
voting down ballot. You're just maybe skipping that top line.
He's definitely gonna vote for his local people,
You're
right?
still
Yeah,
gonna
he
vote.
definitely
Oh
vote.
yeah, I'm gonna vote all the way around.
Absolutely.
But
Make that clear.
I don't vote like I don't go in there and press all Democrat or all Republican.
No, me neither.
Never did.
I very much
Never
so.
done it.
Yeah.
I can dig that. Seriously.
Don't do that whole
Yeah.
Democrat Republican thing.
Some-
No, I
You can
respect
share
it.
if you want. You don't have to.
I respect it.
Yeah. One of the things that didn't come up that I'm a real proponent of is a conversation of reparations and getting reparations done because, as you had said earlier, the people group of African Americans experience something that no one else in this country experienced. And I think that when you look at that, that definitely played a major part in the treatment of black people in this country. And so right now, I'll keep who I'm going to vote to personal, to myself. But, I was leaning towards Harris, and that's where it is. But right now, I need conversations to be pointed on real solutions that are tangible, that aren't just campaign promises, and you're in office, and that's it. And that goes for both candidates. Sure. But right now, I think reparations and how, like, the black man as leaders, as leading the family, as leading in the community alongside black women, but there's so many things that definitely impact black men at a higher rate. We look at incarceration. We heard about education. So these are the things that I'm looking at. But I think right now, as Reverend Robertson said, seeing which candidate will earn my vote.
So you are one of those sliver of undecided voters. You're still up for grabs, technically.
Technically,
Interesting.
absolutely.
This late a date.
I'm definitely still up for grabs.
Yeah. Hey, free agents. What you got out there, folks?
Got out there.
All right. Hey,
I'm going to let the Lord lead me.
and that always works too, right? Hey, folks out there, if you know these guys, you might want to try to influence them, right? See what's going on, right? Hey, thank you so much, you guys. Hey,
Thank you,
it
brother.
is always interesting. Thank you for being a part of this time. Good conversation, making people think, we hope. Oh, man.
Not only
And,
that,
Good to
Next
see
time
you.
wear that LeBron shirt.
Next time, I'm bringing out LeBron. No, I'm getting a Bronny shirt next time, and then we just will blow up the conversation.
I want to see how that works out.
All right, bring on the comments. We know you're going to do it anyway. And whatever part of this you happen to see, maybe you want to see all of it to get the perspective on this stuff. But either way, we need to talk about these things. We need to be open, and I appreciate everybody here that did that. For Off the Air, we are now off the